HTML, couple of announcements. First of all, we are in week 5. So today's lesson is on Flexbox, and it probably will take 2 days to do it. If it doesn't, and we get out early on Thursday, awesome.
Yes.
All right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Next week is dedicated to the midterm project. Some are you going to find this is really easy. Some of them you are going to be challenged, and that's fine. We're not going to meet in class to do it. Okay? So it's on your own. And if you go there, you can see what it is that you're going to be doing. All right? So just follow the instructions through. You're basically creating a basic web page with these items in it and some of these other things. All right, so there's a music file and a video file that you've got to get in there. All right, so this is a basic web page. You're creating it on your own. I'm available for questions next week. I'm usually in the office there, but I'm not going to be in class. Okay? All right, so does that make sense? This is next week, not this week. Okay.
No class, but we can bug you.
Absolutely, you can bug me. All right. Okay, so week 5 in-class work. We need to go get some project files. This is the thing that we're creating. All right, looks a lot like the other thing that we created, except that it's made with Flexbox. Flexbox allows kind of a structure in which to build, and I'm really starting to enjoy it. So you may find it enjoyable. You might hate it if you like the old way of doing things. All right, so I'm going to download those into my downloads folder. Okay, so I've got an images folder. I'll go ahead and I'm going to create a project folder on my desktop. It is, what is it, week 5. Put my images in there. And now we're on to creating our first bit of code here. All right, so just like before, go ahead and create your basic page structure. We did add a few things, if you remember. One is in the HTML tag. Go ahead and save this as desktop. This is going to be an HTML file. Okay, now I've got my hints going here. Better? See that better? Okay. This is going to be about schedule is my title. Does anybody remember what the other thing that went in the head was? Huh? It's a meta tag. Meta. Char set. Yeah. Char set equals UTF-8. You do. We hadn't gotten to that point, but we will get there. Yep. So then we've got our body, got our closing tag for our body. All right, so in our body tag, first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a wrapper, as we have done before. So I'm going to create a div, and give it an ID of wrapper. Closing tag. This is going to contain everything on the page and center it in the browser window. All right, it's also going to not allow the content to get too small and disrupt the page layout. That's how the wrapper is going to work. Right. Now we'll create in here inside the wrapper, we're going to create our header. Close that off. Inside the header, we're going to include our logo, which is image. What comes next after image? Source. Exactly. And we know that it's in an images folder, right? So we can go ahead and type that in. I'm going to need to go and look and see what the actual image name is. It needs to be on my desktop. That is Big Monster Logo underscores. Big Monster Logo. And this is a ping file, so it's .png. What else does an image tag need? Alt, perfect. We'll say Big Monster Logo. Also in here, we're going to have an H1 tag, and this is going to be our headline, right, which is bout schedule. And then we're going to have a nav, which will also be an unordered list. So none of this is a surprise to anybody, right? This is all review. Okay? You're all familiar with this code so far. Tremendous. Okay, what goes inside a UL? LI. List item. So we're going to put in here home. Contenders. And contact. All right. I'm just going to double check it. Go ahead and open up my file on my desktop. There we go. So, kind of sucks up there on the board. You can't see the left edge. Let's see. Maybe I'll pull it in here a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we can see that. Very good. Go back to here. We still working on this?
Yeah.
Okay. Give you a minute. It's fine. It's a beginner's class. While we're waiting, anybody know the qualities of the ping file that make that sometimes a good choice for websites? the PNG file, the .png, the image format. Yeah. Anybody know what that is?
Graphic and it's high res.
It tends to be high res, and it's got one quality that everybody loves in web design: transparency. Yeah, you can have as many layers of transparency as you want in a ping. So if you've got yeah, well, that's enough for most people. Right, exactly, right. Huh? So what that means is if you included a drop shadow on your logo, like I have done so in this one, it actually behaves like a shadow instead of being like a light or dark gray block landing on whatever background color it is. All right. So it's a lot more attractive. Now they also tend to be fairly large in file size. You can do different levels of the ping, and they've got sort of a varying level of quality to them.
The biggest one is use something that makes it indexed as long as you can. It's not a true color image like these graphics. Reduce the color.
The 256 if you can. Okay. Gotcha. Just like a GIF or GIF, however you want to say it. Oh, no, optimizes it? Oh, that's nice.
They have one for JPEG too. It's not.
Okay.
It's
That's good to know. That's good to know. Yeah, depending on, I believe it's depending on which setting you put it on, the PNG will be lossy or not lossy. What that means is while the file size will decrease, at the same time, so will your quality.
That's more an attribute of JPEG. You can get into it.
Yeah. The last I read about that was the case. As far as I know, it's still the case. But anyway, you just need to know. All right. So a ping file, if you're not worried about download times, throw a ping file in there. It's good quality work. All right. Okay. So after our header, we're going to put a main content in here. So main. Inside the main, we're just going to create our first our first bit of content. All right, we're going to have an H1 that says May 3rd. That's the about date for that. And I'm going to now put in my monster image source. And it's going to be in images. Know that. Now let's go ahead and go to my folder and see what my actual names are. All right, so Big Monster 1, all lowercase. Boop. Big Monster 1.png alt equals Bradley Monster. Okay. That means if somebody's using a screen reader or the image is not viewable, alt, oh, I capitalized it. That's technically not correct. It won't matter. The browser won't care about that, but I do. All right, so we've got our monster in there. We're going to have a versus image. All right, so this is going to be image source equals images. And I need to find out the name of that versus, and it is vs, vs.png. Alt equals versus. It's not es, is it? US. Okay, thank you. Okay. I'm going to have my second monster there. Go ahead and put image source equals images Big Monster 2. .png. Oops, I forgot the alt. Come on back. Alt equals Amber Monster. Who will? That's what everybody's wondering. All right, place your bets today. Okay, so hopefully we can understand what we're looking at here when we go back. Refresh that page. You can see it's beginning to take shape. You know, we haven't added the CSS in here, but you can see the content. All right. So people still typing? Good. Okay. Fine. I'm hoping the repetition is sinking in. Creating the documents from scratch will give you repetition. Good. Okay. Okay. Are we good? Okay. Let's go ahead now and create a new CSS document. I'm going to go to File, New File, and I'm going to call it, I'm going to save this as my CSS, I'm sorry, styles.css, and I'm going to set my save file type as CSS right there. So I want to make sure it is actually CSS. Okay. First line.
Now your file name is going to be styles.css.css.
Will it? I think Sublime is smart enough, but we'll find out here in a minute.
What about Notepad++?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. If it doesn't work, take off the .css and see if it works. All right. So in CSS, we have to declare which character set we're using. So it's at charset UTF-8, and don't forget the semicolon. Because if you forget the semicolon here, your CSS doesn't work.
Yeah. Though I think I remember previous classes that we actually been forgetting to do the semicolon for that, and it was still working.
Okay, if that was the case, that's a fluke, because the last two that I saw that didn't have that, the whole page failed. So let's just make sure we got it in there. Yeah. What it does is it reads the next line as though there was no break there, right? And it does not know how to interpret that. All right.
So then the first line of code for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Would just get completely forgotten.
Exactly. Well.
Go clear into your next CSS statement and sees that semicolon. Oh, there's what that person.
Yeah. Yeah, the semicolon is like a period on the end of a sentence in good writing. Right?
Why aren't you smart enough? Smarter than us.
You could do it all in line one. If you were a sadist for the next guy who was going to be working on this file, that would be just a good way to hate them. Yes. Right. Okay. Yeah. So what he's talking about there. Those little spaces and things in there slow down the load speed times just a little bit. The more you've got, the more it slows down. And it's not much, all right? But if you have a really long document, then it starts to lag. So they've got devices out there that just before you deploy your site to the web server, it'll go in and take out all those spaces and hard returns and everything else. It makes it practically unreadable, but it's faster download. All right, so those things exist. So you always want to keep your original files, right? You don't want to keep those those optimized ones. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and put in my favorite device for doing layout just to begin with. I'm going to set my border to thin, solid, black. Okay. I'm going to go look at my browser. Why didn't it work? Amy? Uh-huh. We didn't link to it. Exactly. That's exactly why. So you got to make sure that even though you create a CSS file, it's not automatically linked to it. Even if it's in the same folder with it, it doesn't know to look there. All right. So what we have to do is we have to go up here in the head section, and I'm going to go ahead and put it after my meta. Link. Link. href, thank you. It just wasn't coming to me. Href equals, and then the name of the document, styles.css, and then rel. We're telling it what it is. Style sheet. Okay. Does it get a closing tag? Does a link get a closing tag? Doesn't need it. It's like an image tag. It doesn't need a closing tag on it.
So in our HTML, is this the only thing we're putting is the body, the wrapper, the header, the name?
At this moment. Yeah, well, we're going to work back and forth. Right. Okay. Yes, exactly. So let's go ahead and go back to our browser and view it. Did you get something like this? Those of you who use Notepad++ and linked to it, you get this? Okay, so it did work then. All right, so if you put the .css on it, it did not read it as .css.css. Okay, so if you can see it up there, that shadow right there, that is the effect that a ping allows. It's just showing the background color, and it's all nice and shadowy. All right, if you did this with a JPEG, the JPEG would have a white background on it. So then when you want to throw a JPEG onto a colored background, it won't look so good. But a ping will look good. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if your background is colored, it would have just that color and nothing else.
Yeah. And the GIF or GIF, depending on how you want to say it, gets 1 pixel color of transparency. So what would happen if I wanted to create this in that file format, GIF or GIF, I would set white to be my transparency color. What happens then when it hits that very first light gray color pixel right there that's at the edge of that shadow, that becomes light gray, right? So you have not created any advantages for yourself visually doing this in a GIF or GIF with background colors. They don't work well. You got to work with solid background colors with your JPEGs and GIFs. Right. If you can, right? Yeah, I am not well versed with the SVG, so I need to learn more about it. There's so many things to know, and it's a growing and expanding field. All right, so my black marks here, my black outlines really help me with layout. Okay, so let's do some basic formatting in our styles. I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to create a background color for my body. Try and beat me to the punch here. What background or what what am I looking for?
Background color?
Background color. I was looking for the general category of it. Background color. I'm going to set that at 124173. Okay, I already have a semicolon on it. That makes me happy.
And anything else?
Not in the body, not yet. Okay, in my wrapper. I left it there on purpose. Anybody see anything wrong with this?
Yep. You're not having
It's a div ID, right? You need a hashtag in front of it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. We're going to give this a background color also. And this is going to be B8C, B8C 9E7. Okay, and I'm going to give my header a background color also. Does header need a hashtag or a dot in front of it? Why not? It's a what?
It's an actual tag.
It's an actual tag. Behaves just like a div tag, basically. Yeah, or body, right? Okay. And we're going to give that a background color. Stay with me, people. I know it's lunchtime. 3C6 AA8. Saved it. Gonna go check it out here. Oh, no, it's AA8. All right, so we can see our background color is a dark blue. Our header is kind of a medium blue, and then our background on the main part is light blue. Everybody get this? No?
Oh. Your numbers are wrong somewhere. Oh, that's fine. You got to tell me, Richardson, slow down. It's going to be here. It's going to be one of those numbers. It's going to be, you haven't got you have a main in there?
Okay, so we've got to get main in there for you, Gavin. So I'm going to go back here